So today we're going to look at areas for composite shapes. Now composite shapes are just shapes that have been made up from shapes that have been put together. So the shapes we've got here are basically made of rectangles or rectangles and triangles. So these are on your worksheets. I thought I'll go through some of these so you know how to do them. So the first one here, we've got a shape where we've got some of the sides that have been labelled. You can see here this is really made up of two rectangles sitting together. Imagine if I draw a little dotted line down there. You've got one big rectangle, and you can see this rectangle has a height and a base, or a length and a width. So the width across here you can see is 5 meters, and the height is sometimes a little bit hard to figure out with these, but can you see here you've got 4 meters and 4 meters here, 4 meters and 4 meters. So the total height of this shape is actually 8 meters because it's those two sides added together. So I'm just going to get rid of that so we don't have that there. So we've got the blue rectangle. The other rectangle we have is this rectangle here. It's a little rectangle. It has a base and a height. Now the base and the height are a little bit easier with this one. You can see that the base or the width is 5 meters and the height is 4 meters. So two triangles, each of them have different widths and lengths. Now I'm going to call these area 1 and area 2. I'm going to figure them each out separately. So the first area, area 1, remember is equal to the length of the rectangle times its width. The length times the width is 8 times 5, which is 40. And because this is area, we have square units, and here everything's in meters, so it will be square meters. Next thing we're going to do is find area 2. This is the green area. So here we've got length times width, which is 5 times 4, which is 20 meters squared. Now once we've found the two areas, what we need to do is find the total area. We find the total area by adding those two areas together. So we can see you've got 40 and 20. So the total area for this shape is 60 square meters. That means the area inside this entire thing that I've just drawn in red, all of that area is the 60 meters squared. So for each of these examples you do, it's great if you have colours too, because you can really divide it up into pieces. So the next one we're doing here is made up of a triangle. I'm going to call that area 1. And you can see with the triangle we've got two things we need to know actually, which is a little bit hard. So we've got this part and this part, the base and the height. Now to figure out the base, can you see here this part of the shape is 20 millimeters long, but the whole shape is 30 millimeters long. What that means is that this part here has to be 10 millimeters, because 10 millimeters plus the 20 millimeters, so these two parts here, add up to the total length, which is 30 millimeters. So we've got a 10 millimeter base on this triangle. Now the height of this triangle is a little bit tricky too. Can you see there's a 7 millimeters here, but that's only for this bit. We also need this bit, and that bit you can see, look across, is 5 millimeters. So that means that the total height of this part, I'm just going to draw it over here, is going to be 7 plus 5, which is 12 millimeters. Oops. So that's our height, so 12 millimeters. So we've put together the 7 and the 5. So once you've got those bits of information, the next thing that we're going to need is we need the rectangle that we didn't do. So this part here in green, this is a bit easier because you can see that the height of that rectangle is 5 millimeters and the width of that rectangle is 20 millimeters. So this is really going to be a bit easier to find the area of. So this is area 2. Now once we've figured out the parts of the shapes, all we need to do is use our formulas. Now area 1 is going to be a triangle, so it's half the base times the height of the triangle. Now this is a little right angle here because it's like a square edge here. So we've got half of the base, which is 10, times the height, which remember was 7 plus 5, which was 12. So it's a half of 10 times 12 is 120. So half of that is 60. And the units here are millimetres, so this is going to be in millimetres squared. Then for area 2, we've got a rectangle, length times width. This one's easier because there's a width of 5 and a length of 20. 20 times 5 is 100 millimetres squared. And to finish it off, we want our total area. So this is where we just add together the two numbers that we got for each part, the triangle and the rectangle, to give us 160 millimetres squared. The last one I'm just going to do really quickly, because this one you can divide this up many different ways. I'm actually going to divide it up this way. Oops, thinking about a square. And you can see here that it's got the little lines. So remember, that means that this is 11 centimetres on every side of this part. I'm going to call that area 1. Area 2 is going to be the long rectangle. Now the hard part of the long rectangle is figuring out how long it actually is. The height is easy. Oops, that is going to be 8 centimetres. But here you can see these bits with lines. Now that means this part is 11 and this part is 11. And check it out, because we know the middle section was 11 as well. We've got 11 plus 11 plus 11. So this whole thing here is going to be 11 plus 11 plus 11, which is 33 centimetres long. So now we can quickly find our two areas. They're both rectangles. One's a square, special type of rectangle. So area 1, length times width, 11 times 11 is 121 centimetres squared, because it's an area and the units here are centimetres. Area 2, length times width, is 8 centimetres times 33. Now that one's a little bit trickier. I'm just going to use my calculator. 264. And so for our total, all we have to do is add those two together, which gives us 385 centimetres squared. So that's finding composite areas using addition or adding together of shapes.